How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Xander Plays. Today's video is going to be a little different from the previous videos I've uploaded. Besides me voicing this one, we're going to be going through and opening the 13 choice crystals that Mirrorverse has given out for collecting stars in the original 9 chapters that make up Act 1 of the story on each difficulty level. But before we get to opening those, I do want to take a moment out to thank all of you for watching. I really do appreciate you guys, and for those who haven't, please subscribe for more Disney Mirrorverse content like this. And let's get to opening. Alright guys, like I said, we have 13 choice crystals that's split between 8 3-star choice crystals, 4 4-star choice crystals, and 1 5-star choice crystal. So let's do the 3-star ones, of course. And instead of doing the animation each time, I'm just gonna click through them and see who we got. Alright, so Ian, Anna, and Scrooge. Do think for this one we're going to go with Anna. A lot of her damage comes with applying damage debuffs such as burn, shock, wound, and freezes, and she gets attack buffs based on how many the opponent has when she does her heavy attack. And so I do think she's going to be the most useful to me, so I'm going to go with Anna. Next one. Oh. Got Baymax, Cruella de Vil, and Wally. Baymax is sort of a traditional tank. He has a defense aura around him at all times, and allies within that defense aura receive a defense boost. His special ability, he and his allies gain armor for every second that they're within it. Enemies within it are inflicted with stun for 1.5 seconds when he first activates it. Cruella, of course, she's a ranged hero, so she's going to in some way depend upon focus, but she applies dizzy debuffs to our enemies, and she also inflicts roots with her heavy attack. She has a chance to inflict a root with her heavy attack if the opponent has a dizzy debuff. So in her ability, enemies in a line are rooted for 6 seconds and then they're dealt 400% damage, and it's only it's a max stack of 1 root. Enemies that are already rooted are instead stunned for 6 seconds before damage is dealt. So really, really good ability, you know. Rooting is really good ability, especially obviously on tanks and melee characters, because then they're out of position and they're just standing there. So if you're going against a lot of tank and melee characters, she's great for, because she continuously roots them and they can't deal damage back to her. And that's her her signature ability. Should she get up to 4 stars, she deals additional damage to dizzy enemies, rooted enemies, and stunned enemies. And Wally. Wally is a weird one. He can't be healed, but when he is a target of a heal, he gains 5% armor instead. Whenever any buff on Wally expires, he gains 5% armor, and every 10 seconds, he gets a 5% defense buff for 10 seconds. So basically, the thing is to constantly recycle buffs on him, temporary buffs, to get armor to protect his health pool. And that's basically what his special ability does. He gets 5% defense buffs for 5 seconds. then he knocks back all heroes around him. And when those wear off, he gets armor. His signature ability actually makes to where he can be healed, but he has to be basically the target of 3 heals. Then when he activates his special ability, the heal charges are removed and he's healed for 10% HP. So unless you have him 4-star up, he can't be healed. When you do get him at 4-star, his signature ability allows him to be healed, but he has to be a target of 3 heals, and then he heals himself when he uses his special ability. So I think Cruella is the most useful right now, and I don't have her at 4-star, so nice. Now we do have her at 4-star. So she's going to be doing more damage to rooted, stunned, and dizzy heroes. Or dizzied enemies. Alright, so we got Judy Hopps, Scar, and Maleficent. Scar, I know I almost have him to basically 6-star. I forgot what it's called. It starts with an A. But I know he's not far from it, but I'm not going to choose him. I'm going to hold off on Scar. Judy Hopps is a ranged hero who she also roots enemies and gives them defense debuffs. Deals 400 points of damage, and each target is also rooted for 10 seconds. So that's what she does. And at the start of each combat, all enemies gain a permanent -5% defense debuffs. So she's great to pair with melee heroes, so they can just tear through opponents. And of course, her rooting them means that she's somewhat protecting herself and healer by making the tank and melee heroes out of range to strike back at them. And Maleficent, her basic and heavy critical hits inflict instant 50% shock and a 5% defense debuff. So another hero that does defense debuffs. Actually, Judy and Maleficent both do it, and Maleficent's special ability works with the amount of defense debuffs on your opponents. So her heavy attacks inflict a 5% defense debuff for 10 seconds. And her special ability deals 300 damage to all enemies. If the enemy has a defense debuff, they are inflicted with a burn, dealing 100% damage per second for 5 seconds. So I'm going to choose Maleficent. And she is now 4-star. Alright, next. So we have Baymax, which we've discussed, Cruella, DeVille, and Frank Wolf. Frank Wolf is sort of a support tank hybrid. Go to this. He has 6% direct damage resistance to wound, shock, and poison, which is very good. At the beginning of combat, when struck by a critical hit, Frank gains a 10% defense buff that doesn't wear off. If he's inflicted with burns, however, all defense buffs from his core ability are purged. So if you look at before you start a match, you can look at all the enemies that you're going against. If you have a lot of enemies that inflict burn, Frank Wolf may not be the best one to take to that one, because he'll remove his own defense buff if he's inflicted with a burn. Frank grows a patch of dense foliage beneath him that lasts for 16 seconds. This foliage does not move, so the area that he puts it at initially, it will stay there. All guardians heal 3.75 every seconds for 4 seconds upon entering dense foliage for the first time after each special activation. Allies within the dense foliage resist 30% damage from ranged and support enemies and become immune to root, which is very nice. Caught in the Weeds, which is a signature ability. The first time an enemy enters dense foliage per activation, they are dealt 100 and I think it's 100 initially. I think I've leveled it up a little bit. Damage and become rooted for 4 seconds. So I'm gonna go with Frank. Alright, we got Maleficent, Anna, and Woody. Woody is a character that I have been interested in showcasing on the channel just because I love his special ability. He pulls the enemy to him and then punches them, and it's a hilarious thing to watch. But he basically puts warrants on your enemies. And I won't let me do it. He stuns the enemy if they have a warrant pulled on them when he uses his special ability. And then his signature ability allows a special ability to do extra damage. And when an enemy with a warrant is defeated, all allies gain a 5% attack buff that lasts until the end of the encounter. And when an enemy with a warrant is defeated, all other allies have a 25% chance to heal for 10% HP. And I do believe if you level up the signature ability, that chance increases. So since I'm interested in Woody, I am going to pick him. We have Evil Queen, Judy Hopps, and Sully. Evil Queen, her thing is racking up poison, what are they called? Heartbane charges, which increases the effectiveness of poison. So far, I believe Evil Queen and Sally are the only two heroes that can apply poison, but I could be wrong about that. But basically, the Heartbane charges increase, and she applies poison with her heavy and basic attacks. Her Heartbane Harvest, each enemy is inflicted with a poison that deals 10% for 10 seconds. All allies heal 1% each second for 4 seconds. Each Heartbane charge on the enemy team adds 1% to this value, max 10. So she is a very good healer, but it also requires you to do a little bit more work. It's not just pressing the button when you have the earliest opportunity. You do have to go forth and put those Heartbane charges on the opponents to make her heal really worth it. They do, unfortunately, when you finish one encounter and go to the next one, you're starting back at, none. And so you do have to go through and build those back up each encounter. But it's fairly easy to do. And her signature ability, if an enemy is defeated while inflicted with one or more Heartbane charges, all enemies have a 100% chance to be inflicted with one. That's great for spreading it when more enemies pop into an encounter, and you have a couple left that have Heartbane charges. When you kill those, it'll spread to the other ones, so that'll keep our Heartbane charges up. And as long as she's above 77.04 HP, her heavy attack inflicts poison. So it's guaranteed to inflict poison. And then, so I'm going to choose Evil Queen. She's just a really solid healer, and she's almost at 5 stars. So probably if she shows up again, I'll be picking her just to get her to 5 stars. She's a really good healer. Alrighty. Next up, we have Captain Hook, Hiro Hamada, and Belle. Belle is a really good, generic healer. She increases your team's defense, and her healing is very powerful. Hiro Hamada, same thing. Very powerful healer. He connects to allies and give them buff depending on what class they are. So I believe melee characters, it's a talent that you unlock. Melee heroes, he gets attack. Ranged heroes, he gets focus. Support heroes, he decreases their cooldown, their special ability cooldown by a second. And tanks, I believe he gets defense too. And he also attribute buffs granted by him and other allies gain an additional 10% potency while he's in the encounter. Very good, very solid. His special ability connects to all heroes and it grants him the effect of his core ability. So basically, the talents that he has, usually when he's connected to one, he gives them a buff, but with the special ability, he's connected to all, so he gives them all the buffs that would be that he would get for connected to one. And while the special ability is active, the strength of the effects from his core ability is doubled, and all allies heal for 1.5% each second for 8 seconds, which is amazing. While the special ability is active, he and other allies gain a 23.98% attack buff. I believe it starts at 20, if I'm not mistaken, for each ally he's connected to. Each time one of his allies defeated, he gains a 25% attack buff that lasts till the end of the encounter. If he has no allies, his heavy attack inflicts his target with knockback. This ability has a 5-second cooldown. I am going to go actually with Belle because I know she's a lower stars, and I will be doing videos on Act 2, and so I'll be formulating teams for that. And I know Captain Hook and Hiro Hamada, I believe, are 4 stars, but Belle, I believe, is 3, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to actually go with Belle. And now she's 4. So look out for videos with Belle. Like I said, she's a really solid healer. All right, we have Oogie Boogie, Mulan, and Ursula. All of these, I believe Oogie Boogie's a 4-star, Mulan's 5, and Ursula's 4. I'm really interested in Ursula because she's just a really, really solid tank. As the encounter goes on, she puts contracts on her enemies, and when those enemies either damage her or use a special ability, she gets defense buffs, and the max stack is 20. And so as the encounter goes long, she's just getting defense buffs, making it really hard to do any damage to her, except those that bypass defense and armor, like dots, wounds, burn, shock, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and she also have talents to where if she's attacking an enemy that has a contract, she has a chance to heal herself. And so even if is afflicted with one of those damaging debuffs, she's healing herself in addition to what the healer of the team, the support of the team, is also doing. So she's just a really solid tank, especially later on. So I'm going to choose Ursula. All right, those were all the 3-star. Moving on to 4. All right, we got Buzz Lightyear, Evil Queen, and Eve. Buzz Lightyear and Eve, I believe, are both 5-star, if I'm not mistaken. I think Evil Queen is actually the lowest star among these 3 that I have in my collection. So I'm going to go with Evil Queen. And I believe that puts her up to 5 stars. Nice. So she'll be good for later on in the second act when I start getting higher power encounters. All right, so we have Wally, Mulan, and Frozone. Frozone is a newer hero. His thing is freezing enemies. His basic attacks have a 50% chance to grant him a cold charge, max 20. The cold charges each grant 2% focus to him, and healing granted by all allies is 1% stronger for each cold charge. While above 10, he loses 1 charge every 1.5 seconds, and basic attacks have a 50% chance to freeze, dealing 20% damage per second for 5 seconds. His special ability, he travels across the battlefield until the end of the target indicator or he hits a wall. This attack cleanses root debuffs from him. All enemies in the target area are dealt 400% damage or inflicted with a freeze. His allies heal 5% HP for each one that he bypasses on his slide for 2 seconds. And he gains 1 cold charge plus an additional for each enemy and ally in the target area. So basically applying freezes and has a little bit of a support role in healing your allies and making their heal stronger. So really solid. I'm actually going to go with Frozone because I believe he's a 2-star, and so this will put him up to at least 4. And that unlocks his special ability, signature ability, I'm sorry. Alright, next we have Rapunzel, Merida, and Ursula. I do believe Rapunzel and Merida are already 5-star heroes, so I'm going to choose Ursula. And she is so close to being 5-star. Alright, we have Jack Sparrow, Hades, and Woody. I do want to use Woody for my lore for the next act, and then start at around 3,000, so I don't want to level him up too much. So I'm going to go with Hades on this one. Any one of these is a solid choice, but I'm going to go with Hades. That'll unlock his signature ability, which I'm sure I'll go over in later videos. Alright, and the last one, which is a 5-star. Let's see who we get. Alright, Eve, Jack Sparrow, and Frozone. I am impartial to one of the 2 ranged options because I'm a little light on those. And since we just discussed Frozone, I'm going to choose him. Again, doing damage, increasing the healing that our supports are doing, and also applying a dot is really useful. And he also slides across the stage, so, you know, enemies have to chase him basically. So, really solid choice. Alrighty. That is the end of our 13 crystals. I will be uploading videos going through the Act 2 that the update unlocked, and those videos will be coming very soon. In the meantime, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.